Hello and welcome to Golden Droplets episode number 28. My name is Ricardo Valls. I am the president and co-founder of vallsgeoconsultant. In today's episode, we are going to continue talking about how to use Golden software in processing geological data. Specifically, we're going to be talking about STRATER in the representation of the logging results. I will also touch on a program called SedLog for the representation of stratigraphic data. So, once again, Golden Droplets episode number 28. Enjoy.
Welcome to Golden Software's introductory video for Strater 5. Strater is a superior well log, borehole, and cross-section plotting software package. In this video, I will provide a brief introduction to Strater and show how easy it is to create a basic log and cross-section. The main features of Strater include displaying data in 15 fully customizable log types, organizing and storing data in 8 different internal table types, showing well locations in a top-down map view, creating cross-sections from line log, raster log, or lithology log information, customizing log and layer displays with the powerful scheme editor, saving templates to easily reproduce past projects with new data, and customizing cross-sections and borehole views by adding legends, scale bars, map views, and more. To create a simple borehole log and cross-section in Strater, first, load your data into Strater's tables. In the borehole view, click Log, Create Log, Lithology, and click in the log pane where you want your log to appear. In the Open dialog, choose your table from the Use Open Table box and click Open. The lithology log is created. To create a cross-section, first click Home, New, Cross-Section View. Click Cross-Section, Create Add, Create Cross-Section. Choose your wells in the Create Well Selector dialog and click OK. In the Import Cross-Section Data dialog, choose the cross-section log type. Make sure your data tables and columns are properly set, and click OK. The cross-section is created. Customizing a default cross-section or log is as easy as clicking on the object and changing the properties. For example, select the Logs object in the Object Manager to edit the properties for all of the cross-section logs in the Property Manager. The view automatically updates as soon as the properties in the Property Manager are changed. All aspects of the view are fully customizable. In no time, you will have the professional quality graphics you need to display your data. To see some beautiful and complex graphs that Strater users have created, browse Strater's online image gallery. This concludes the introductory video for Strater 5. If you have any additional questions, please contact Golden Software.
The easiest way to work with Strater is to use templates. I will be uploading these two examples into Mendeley so you can download it from there and use it for your own projects. Also, there are plenty of templates at Strater Help. But in any case, any project will start with the following tabs. First, you put information of the project settings like the name of the project, the company, location, the project manager, etc. Then, of course, you need the colors of the holes. And if you have it, then the deviation survey. This next tab, the depth, you see you have the hole, the depth, the value of the goal at that depth, and a classifying value. So how you do this? You take, in Excel, you take these three columns and you establish quartiles, like say the third quartile and upper will be high, second quartile to third quartile will be medium, and lower than the second quartile will be low. And that way you create this table. Later on, I will show you the usefulness of having this table here, because we will create a crosscut, not of geology, but of gold grade or copper or lead zinc, whatever is your element. Then you will have, of course, the lithology, the results. If you would like to have, instead of just the name of the rock, to have an image, well, you can link the image here. And then you create your first map, which is a simple location map. Here we have a crosscut there. And then you create your main page for the whole. I usually create 2 pages because I have so much information that I want to put that in one page, even in landscape format, will not be so readable. So I have one and the second page. And as you can see, beside the information about the company, the drilling, etc., you have a grid for the measured depth and the true depth. This is very useful. Then the lithology in graphic, the lithology in words, and then a series of values. You can have here gold versus silver, so gold versus silver, lead versus zinc, copper versus molybdenum, total amount of sulfur in the second one, and you have simple gold, arsenicum, barium, sodium, potassium, and again the geology. And a cross section here, you have the different hole, the legend, the depth, the lateral, scale, etc. So let me show you now in another example. This is a project from Calvista. How do you use the lower and medium and high values? You can create a cross section, but instead of referring to the geology, you refer to these values and you get a distribution. This is the geology. Here you see an example of a cut using not the geology, but the result of the gold. This is done by creating this tab here. One thing I forgot to mention is that when you are in one of the main pages, then always change the number of the hole and get a different column. This way you can at the end print them all in a booklet. I used to call this the Atlas of Lithology. So this is some of the things that you can do with Strater. As I mentioned, I'm going to put these two files in Mendeley for you to play with, and there are plenty more templates on Golden Software website. Now let's see SedLog.
Hello, I'm David, the Vice President of the University of Brighton Mantell Geological Society, and today I'm going to be doing a run-through of SedLog 3.0. This is a shareware produced by the Royal Holloway University of London, which is accessible to anyone. I've created a generalised fictional cyclothem for this. Let's move on to building it. It's important to note that this starts with the lowest bed first, so you always put that one on and then build up your heights. Okay, so the first bed we're going to add is going to be the coal bed. You can either do this through the edit window where you can add the bed or the hotkey, or there's a nice little button on the toolbar here. It's important to note that the thickness is in centimetres, so don't put 1.2 in because it won't work with your scale. I will go more into how to get the notes, age and formation onto your log because it's not there by default. The lithology menu is not everything's where you might think it would be. I didn't think coal was in basic. I looked in specialist and other first, so just check around for what you want. It's probably hiding somewhere. Grain size is generalized as opposed to being in phi or millimeters. With the structures and fossils and stuff, you can either have it displayed in the grain size section, which is what this symbols in bed thing means, or you can have it in its own column. I'm going to display both for now, with the plant material for this one. So it will come up tiled rather than one, because if you turn off tiled it will just display one of that symbol. Press add, go to fossils, and we shall have some more plant fossils for this. There we go. So yeah, that'll give you that in both the columns now. Yep. And there we go. Alright, that's the first bed done. I'm now going to add the second one, which will be a limestone. So with this limestone bed, you just click on add a bed again. Now, with the erosional, it's good to remember that this is the erosional base of the bed, so it doesn't mean that the bed itself has been eroded, it means this bed has eroded into the one down below it, as is evidenced by the coal clasts in this case. So this got a good selection of carbonates once it brings them up, and it does allow you to pick which different type of limestone that you could define in the field as opposed to the sparites or the micrites, which you need to be back in the lab for really. This one will display the lithology in the symbols in the grain size bit just to show you what that looks like. Pick one generally for whatever project you're doing it, either do it with the symbols, nothing, or the lithology, and just stick with that is probably your best bet. Now this one has two different structures in it. It's going to have both gastropods and some interclasts. So that's already added that to the thing. Now you've got to press add again and the gastropods will disappear, but don't worry, it will still turn up in the column luckily. Again, it's to ignore this until it changes further on up the bed. Just to save a bit of time and everything. Fascies I'll probably go into in possibly another video if anyone wants to know about that, because I'm doing a coal cyclothem, it's basically one fascies anyway. They're displaying that it's a grain and it displays them both together. Okay, I'm now going to skip ahead a few and do some without recording and just to save a bit of time until I get to the next important bit on this. So yes, I'll see you all in a minute. Right, so here we are with the finished log, the whole cyclothem from top to bottom. the final real thing to show you is how to put in all the different columns. Because of course this doesn't have the age, the formation, or the notes or biotobation we put in the actual data sets. So to do that, you go to the preferences, which is that button, or in tools, and you then put in the columns that you want to. You can also rename them if you want to, like if you're going to have, for instance, periods as well as ages. Just okay, so we want the age, we want the formation, we want the notes, and we want the biotobation. We want all of those. Okay, now this has got it all out of order. For instance, you don't really want the scale after the notes and biotobation because that's a little bit awkward. So you drag these down, up and down, and it'll put it below, above, above whatever you have highlighted after while dragging it. So we want age first, then we want formation, and then scale. And these want to go right near the bottom. And notes go at the very end. So that will give us a nice little setup. You can also change the font sizes here if you're finding the text a bit small after you've exported it, which I'll show you in a minute. You can also change the title of it at the top, so call this one the Brighton Coal Measures. You can also change all sorts of fun things. Also, you can change what grain size charts are shown. For instance, if you don't have any limestones in your log, you can just make it so it's mud, sand and gravel only, or if you're doing a limestone only body, you can just change it to only limestones. So that's quite useful. We've got both, so I'll leave it as that. Also change the scale and various sizes. So there's that. So we apply it. Now, you can change the size of the columns. It's important to note this because it can wind up with things overlapping each other if you don't. Because I think on the start it winds up with the things being all in with each other. Like here, you've got the formations halfway through the scale bar, which isn't particularly what you want. So you can play around with them. Give the symbols a bit more space in this. If you've got 3, I mean if you've got 4 you'll need a lot more space than that. Yeah, you got the notes on it there. And yeah, there's your nice little log. All finished. When you go to save log, it will save it as the proprietary file type, which is .slg. Now this will only be openable by SedLog as far as I know. It definitely won't be openable by Word or anything, because this is the project file type. Now to get it onto Word or whatever else you want to put it in, if you want to put it in your report or your spreadsheet for whatever reason, you go to the export log button. Now this will convert it to whatever file type you want to, but you will not be able to edit it in this file type. So I've called it demo glider, and you save that. More thing, which is very important. Now, it's not immediately identifiable what all of these symbols mean, and if someone doesn't know, then that's a big problem because it makes it very hard to identify what it's actually showing. So this is why you always have a key when you're doing a log. Here it is. That button there is the easiest way to get to it, and it gives you everything that you have put in. It doesn't give you everything that the program has an option to, luckily, since that list would go on quite a way for the symbols. Yeah, it gives you a rundown of everything you've put in and an explanation of the symbols. You can export this just like the actual log as a JPEG, so save that so you can put it in with your nice little thing so people can actually understand what you've made. Very important thing. So I'll just show you what that looks like when you've installed it in something. I did this earlier after a failed recording. File, insert, picture.
Well, you can play around, creating your own SedLog from scratch. You can come here and you the thickness, type of rock, say what's limestone, and you say that the base of the limestone was rootstone median and the top was rootstone fine. We have some fossils. There are no perturbation, and the age was Cretacic. The formation was Poland formation. You click OK, and you start creating your own log. It's much easier to use a template from Excel where you create your own profile and then you just import it to SedLog. Let me show you how this is done. Notice that when you create a new log, it shows you the option of a simple layout or a full layout. I will go with a simple layout because anyway, SedLog will adjust to what we need. And then here is an example of an Excel file with all the information that you will need to create a SedLog profile. You just need to remember always that here is the top, here is the bottom, it's reverse. So you just create this thing, and I'm gonna put this Excel table and other supported materials Mendeley, so you can just download here, fill in the information that you need, like for example the type of contacts, the kind of lithology. You have up to 3 lithologies, the size of the grains, and the top and the bottom, the symbols in the bed, the fossils. And notice when you need to put 2 fossils, they are separated with a comma, but no space between them. And that's it. That's very simple. Once you have this table, I'll close it down. We just go here to our SedLog, click on File, Import Log from CSV. We go to Desktop, and you can custom import each of them, but SedLog does a very good work if finding himself what everything means. So automatic importing, click OK, and here you have your stratigraphic column. Now let's get rid of all these parts here that they have no information. So you click here on Preferences, and you select the columns that will not be used in your table. You need to do this one by one. So we take that one, take that one, that one, that one, that one. Click Apply. We take a look. Everything looks okay. And finally, you can double click on any layer and make sure that everything is as it should be. For example, here we don't have the age, so we can type here, say this is quaternary. Okay. At the bottom, we know these limestones are Cretacic in age, so we type Cretacic, and the formation's name is La Luna, the moon. We click OK, and as you can see, we are getting the ages. So this is how you do it very quickly, and then you just export this as a JPEG. Remember that you can always have the legend, which is important, and you can export this and add it to your final report. So this is the end of Golden Droplets episode 28, using the STRATER and SedLog to create stratigraphic columns and drill holes. And on our next Golden Droplets, episode 29, we will talk about the use of Voxler in the resource estimations. It will be a very interesting episode for everybody. Until then, I wish you all good health, both mentally and physically. Have a great day.